Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Online Racing for the penultimate round of the Hype Energy PlayStation 4 F2 Championship taking place at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix, and it could be a championship deciding race as well. Kiski currently holds a 41-point lead over Thyman, and if he finishes in the top 4 or the top 5 if Thyman doesn't get the fastest lap, that will be enough for Kiski to get the championship. Luke Etheridge and Austin Smith bringing you the action. 18 minutes qualifying and a 36 lap race. And Austin, this should be fantastic. I'm sure Kiski will be hoping for a more straightforward race than he had last time out in Canada.
Yeah, last time really was a struggle for him on an involuntary two-stop, really, is how you probably best describe his strategy. He did go on to post the fastest lap of the race, so at least he got that 1 point there. But other than that, just a 7th place, and after all, only 7 points. With Thyman, his now only rival in the championship, scoring 18 and keeping at least the hope alive that he has a chance. He is here tonight, as well as Kiski, obviously. Iamotti, third in the standings, and now pretty much out of the, or not pretty much, he is out of contention with 59 points behind. Is not here tonight for the second race in a row that he is missing. And yeah, I think he is, however, pretty safe. At least in the top 4, because he's only 3 points ahead of Johan, who had an okay race last time out. P5, 10 points. Certainly getting him closer to Iamotti, but nothing too crazy for Johan.
Yeah, it was a very good result last time out for Haas, with Diamond getting second place, his third podium in a row. But we saw Sam Yabin take the victory, his first win of the season, making it a Haas 1-2, and that has spiced things up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes can clinch that tonight, and they are currently 38 points ahead of the Haas team, so 6 more points than Haas tonight would guarantee it for Mercedes. And at the moment, Diamond is the sole Haas representative. Sam Yabin, we think, might not be joining us tonight, and if he is, he will be missing qualifying and starting from the back of the grid. We're on board now with his fellow Cometa driver Suso, just heading down towards turn 4, and a bit like Canada, Austin, DRS really big factor around this Austrian circuit. Basically the first half of the lap, really, you are using the DRS.
Yeah, every single straight you start on the start-finish straight. In fact, you start before you even start the lap. You already start using the DRS as you come out of the final corner. And then all the way up to turn 1, then out of turn 1 all the way up to turn 3, and then out of turn 3 and all the way up to turn 4. 3 consecutive DRS straights. And with 3, that I think that needs to be said as well, with 3 separate DRS detection points. So it's not that if you're ahead or behind at this one spot, you get DRS for 2 straights in a row, as we had in Canada. No. Right here, every single straight, if you're the guy behind, within a second, you get the DRS. If you overtake, all of a sudden, well, that's the guy behind you that you just overtook, now getting the DRS for the next straight. So the drivers have to be really, really strategic to make sure where they overtake so that they cannot be overtaken right back.
Yeah, definitely. That does lead to battles continuing on, and even into the middle sector you will see a lot of cars going side by side through there. What can Kiski do then? Championship leader by 41 points at the moment. He knows what he needs to do tonight if he wants to take the championship, and he goes second, just behind the only man who can stop him, Thyman. They are the only drivers in the 1 minute freeze so far. VRT Sam in the Toro Rosso, he's reserving tonight. He is in 4th, and another VRT reserve. We've got Jordan Polska second at the moment. Also, there is also MNT Hercules. He's reserving for Pedro in the Red Bull. But Jordan Polska getting in between Thyman and Kiski, and I'm sure Vortex Racing won't mind that too much. Jordan's shown some fantastic form. Could have even possibly won last week. Had an incident with Pasti, who also ended up having an incident with Kiski. Neither of those were reported to the stewards. But Jordan Polska, he's had a win and a pole position. He's definitely one to watch out for the future, especially with F1 2020 around the corner.
Certainly, and just one quick correction that Vietti Sam is not filling in as a reserve. Vietti Sam, on very short notice, in fact, earlier today, was promoted to Toro Rosso from reserve because MNT Antoine was unable to compete for the rest of the season due to some internet issues, some internet speed issues. He said that his internet was too slow to continue league racing for now, and he had to quit. So Sam, going forward for the final 2 races at least of the season, will be in the Toro Rosso both times, and will have the main seat instead of being a reserve.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what he can do with that currently in 6th place. It's very close at the top, as we've said so often this season, with the top 8 drivers separated by a quarter of a second. And Austin, you've been looking at the leaderboard times, and that doesn't really surprise you, does it, with how close everyone is?
Yeah, it really doesn't. Austria has the shortest lap time on the calendar anyway, and so the gaps are even closer. With only 10 corners around here, there's not that many spots where you can make a mistake, where you can lose much time, and so the gaps are really close anyway. In the leaderboards, we have, let's say that's, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to count this right now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 drivers within a quarter of a second, and all in the top 400 in the leaderboards. And then you have another, pretty much a gaggle of another 4 cars that are all in the top 700, and they're all within 3.5 tenths of each other. So it's really, really close. And even if we go all the way down to the worst in the, or let's say the second worst in the leaderboards, because the worst in the leaderboards of those that I found was Nick, one of the reserve drivers. Even he was only off less than 7 tenths, but he's not here. So let's say Jordan Polska. He was only just over half a second away from Samuel Bean, who was the fastest. So it's really, really, really close around Austria, more so than any other track.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to invalidate a lap around this circuit, especially if you run wide at turn 1 or around the final couple of corners. So keeping it clean could be all so important. You want to get a banker lap in so you can push harder later on, because with how close it is, a slight mistake could leave you a long way down the field. As De Sousa tries to improve on his time. And there we go, he gains a 1/10 of a second, and that moves him up to 6th, just behind his teammate. As we now see, we've got Hercules in 4th position. You can see Furhan has retired from the session early on. That is a qualifying ban back from an incident he had with LR Sam at the Chinese Grand Prix.
Yeah, meanwhile, if you could be so kind and go on board with someone who is approaching turn 1, because there is a really tricky situation going on. Aero right now is approaching right there, and if you go on board, you see just how bright the track is. It's so hard to see because the sun is shining down onto the track in an angle that makes it really hard to see anything, and that is something the drivers are going to have to deal with. It's something that annoys a lot of the drivers, but it's something that if you at least run this race on official race time, and that's what we do around here, then there is no way to avoid it, and that will be the situation throughout the race unless it somehow gets overcast or even rains. So certainly added difficulty. The same can be said as well. It's also getting bright on the track there in turn 6 as well, because again the angle that the sun is shining onto the track makes it really hard to see. So additional challenges here for all the drivers.
Yeah, Kiski seems to be dealing with these challenges fantastically well, though. He has gone fastest now with a 1:03.813. Aero slotting in just behind Johan now. Just seen him cross the line as we're at the halfway point in this session. He is in 3rd, so Thyman currently 4th. Only 1.5 tenths off of pole position, and he really needs a victory tonight to have any realistic chance of keeping this championship battle going on until the next round. We'll go on board with Slimbo. He's invalidated this lap already, and it's fair to say he had his best performance for a long time in Canada. He was absolutely delighted with that finish last week.
Yeah, why wouldn't he? Have to say, if you look at his previous results, I mean, yeah, there's really not much to say other than just a fantastic race for him, and yeah, just it all came together for once.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. He got a 5th in the first race of the season back at Bahrain, but apart from until last week, his only other points finish have been a 10th in Italy, so a 4th in Canada. He'll have been delighted with that and hoping he can carry that on the sole Alfa Romeo driver tonight, with Aresi having to miss the qualifying. So let's see who's out on a hot lap at the moment. Loney has invalidated, and that's what we're saying. It's very difficult to keep a clean lap with the Mercedes driver, really hoping that he can help Kiesky get the Drivers' Championship and maybe claim a double tonight. We remind you, with only one Haas driver, Mercedes just need to outscore Haas by 6 points. So if Kiesky ends up winning the race, that will be good enough to get Mercedes the Constructors' Championship and get himself the Drivers' Championship. And I'm sure that is what the Finn will be aiming for. That's probably going to be easier said than done. However, given how close we have seen F2 action be lately. Let's remind you, since the Italian Grand Prix, we've had a different winner every single race. 6 winners in the last 6 races. And of course, Thyman, who's currently 4th and 2nd in the championship, he's yet to win a race despite being ultra consistent lately.
Yeah, he's yet to win a race at all in AOR. Not just this season, though, at all, because he only joined AOR this season. So he had 4 podiums in those 10 races, finished all 10 of them, which is something only 3 drivers on the whole grid can say. That's Thyman, Johan, and Jompalainen. Giggs. My bad. Giggs. Jompalainen, remember the one disconnect that broke that streak. That was at the US Grand Prix. Kiesky did finish all the races he started in, same with Iamotti, but they obviously both missed a race, with Kiesky not competing at the German Grand Prix. Now I just got disconnected. Did you as well, or is that just me again?
That's just you again, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I just watched Hercules nearly set a time that was good enough to get on the front row, but unfortunately for him it was invalidated, so he will stay in 6th. As we have seen there, Sam Yabin has managed to join the session, so maybe, just maybe, we'll have to see what he could do from the back of the grid alongside Fairhand. Marco Kriesman, he's invalidated his lap as well, so we are seeing a few more head out for what could possibly be their final couple of runs in this qualifying session. Let's go on board then with Thyman in the Haas. He needs to finish on the podium to have any chance of staying in this championship. Braking hard into turn 3 there. He's going to get a bit of a slipstream here off Aero down the straight, which I'm sure will be gratefully received. The Williams going to have to get out of the way as he's on an outlap. Doesn't want to get a penalty for blocking or anything like that. Thyman just going slightly deep there into turn 4, but he'll get away with that. Still made the apex. Here it is, this middle section of the track. Turn 6 into 7 as well. Very difficult to get this just right. You need to get a great exit through 7 and 8. Take as much curb as the game allows you. You don't want to leave anything out on track. Heading now to the final 2 corners. Difficult pit entry here. You've really got to commit to turns 9 and 10 if you want to set a good time. Can Thyman move up? He doesn't need to find much of an improvement to improve his position, and he does. Just 7 thousandths off of Powell. He is onto the front row for now alongside Kiesky. We've got the top 6 drivers have all managed to get into the 1 minute freeze. We've got Jompalainen down at the back on a 1:05, but he did set that time on the medium tyres. And even if Jompalainen does start at the back, we saw that last week, doesn't seem to affect him. He just always seems to find a way to get into the points.
Yeah, as I said before, I mean, 9 times did he finish a race. The 1 time he had a disconnect, 8 times he finished in the points. 6 of those were either P9 or P10, so only getting 1 or 2 points, which is just remarkable consistency on his part, really. He doesn't seem to have the pace to challenge the front of this tier of the F2. but certainly has the consistency to keep himself part of the midfield battle in this championship.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan Polska's just gone fastest by 0.02 of a second, but that is quickly beaten by Aero with a 103.760. That pushes Polska down to second, and look at that, 600ths of a second separating the top four with 3 minutes to go. We've got Pasty up in 5th place. Didn't really see that lap time, but a great lap from the Renault driver. We know him and Furhan have pace, they've just not had the consistency. Could tonight be the night that we see some great performances from those guys? Moment Jon Polainen on a hot lap, unsurprisingly improving now that he's on the soft tyres, and I have to agree with what you said, Austin. Don't think he really has the pace of these guys, but you've got to say he's maximised everything this season. Always seems to be in or around the points. I think he'll be very happy with the job he has done in F2 this season. That time brings him a lot closer to those ahead, but he stays in 15th position for now. A lot of drivers heading out onto outlaps. What will be their final runs? Hercules, he's just about to start his hot lap. Will he be able to do anything in the Red Bull? Replacing Pedro tonight. Got a great chance on his previous lap. Should get at least one hot lap in. Depends if he has enough fuel to do two, of course.
Yeah, meanwhile, you mentioned Furhan, and as he has retired from the session, we mentioned that before as well. He will start from the back of the grid with the qualifying ban that he has from the Chinese Grand Prix. He is, of all the drivers that are here right now, we have to exclude Samyabin from this because he is, I think he is in the lobby right now. He's in the session, but he obviously is not participating in qualifying as he joined too late. But apart from Samyabin, Furhan on the leaderboards is the fastest driver in the F2 around this track right here with a 1 minute 3.741, which would be good enough for pole position right now, but he's not allowed to compete. So it's really going to be interesting how he can handle that kind of a pressure. We saw him mess up in China where he just weaved across another driver, caused a collision there. That's what he has the qualifying ban for. Maybe this time around he's gonna, be a little bit more, on the a little bit more careful where he places his car. And if so, he may have a good chance of doing maybe some kind of content as well for YouTube, a last to first challenge, because he certainly has the pace around here.
Yeah, we could have two last to first challenges, obviously, with Samyabin being down there as well. How far up can they get from what will be 16th and 17th on the grid? We've just seen Hercules. He made a mistake coming out of the final corner. That probably cost him a chance to move further up, but still the Red Bull in 6th. We're on board now with Sam, currently in 10th place. The top 10, remember, have to start on the tyres they've qualified on.
Ooh. That was that was certainly a wild moment of oversteer, and still, he's only slightly behind his previous time somehow. I don't really know how he did that, but yeah, that is his qualifying over, as he is using no ERS right now up the hill, and so that's pretty much his session over at this point. He's not going to improve, I would assume, although he is... Yeah, no, he's taking it slow. He's taking it slow. So Sam, 10th, is going to be the best he can achieve. Maybe someone pushes him out of the top 10. I don't think he's going to be too mad about that if that happens.
Yeah, I don't think that is going to happen now. We're looking at the moment, everyone that's on a lap on the fresh tyres is just Aero and Jordan Polska, who are currently our top two. Thyman, he's just slowing down. He was unable to improve, so he will probably be starting just behind his championship rival. This is going to be a very tasty turn one. Aero's pretty much bang on his previous lap time. Jordan in the racing point is improving, but he's just invalidated his lap time there, so that is a shame for him. That would have been good enough to get pole position, but Aero, he's already on pole. Can he go even faster in the Williams? Crosses the line, and it's a 103.688. A huge margin given by how close this qualifying session has been. He's over a tenth of a second ahead of Jordan Polska and Kiski. He'll be starting in third, and most importantly for him, he is ahead of Thyman. If Kiski finishes there, he will take the championship win. So he might not be a bit as feisty as some of the other drivers, because Simon, he's really got nothing to lose at the moment. He's just got to go for this, starting in 4th position and knowing that only a win is probably going to be good enough to take the title to the next round.
Yeah, and he's also starting right behind Kiski, so that certainly adds to the pressure there that you are starting directly next to and behind the driver who you are battling in the championship. However, it is VRT Aero with Jordan Polska in second. It is a Dutch 1-2. And if we've seen anything at this, or generally at the Austrian Grand Prix, it's always a lot of Dutch fans, isn't it?
Yeah, Max always seems to do well, and I remember watching an old F1 DVD where Jos Verstappen was pretty lightning round here, so the Dutch clearly like this tack. Kiski ruining a Dutch 1-2-3, being in 3rd, Thyman 4th, Loney 5th, Hercules, Pasti, Johan, Suso and Sam rounded out the top 10. Hercules will have fresh tyres in 11th, as will Marco Kriesman, Giggs, Slimbo, Jon Palainen and Verhan. And of course, you have got Sam Ubin, who will also be starting after joining late in this session. I'm sure this is going to be an absolutely fantastic race to watch, guys. Make sure to keep tuned in. Any predictions, Austin? Could we see a 7th different winner in 7 races?
We certainly could. Thyman, I think, is probably in the best spot to do so. Maybe Aero as well. He hasn't won a race all season as well, so we certainly have a couple drivers up there with both Aero and Thyman who could continue this trend. I think we are going to see a 7th winner in 7 races.
Yeah, definitely. Who do you guys in the chat feel like is going to be victorious? I'm sure it's going to go right down to the wire. Thankfully for everyone, though, it looks as though weather is not going to play a part. We've got beautiful sunshine over the hills here in Austria, and who is going to be victorious in 36 laps time as the formation lap starts. We'll have a look what tyres everyone has gone for. We know what the top 10 are on, as we saw the qualifying session. Outside the top 10, it's only Slimbo and Sam Ubin that have gone for those softs. Everyone else starting on the medium tyres. And with quite a tight entry into turn 1, it wouldn't be surprising to see safety cars play a big part at this circuit.
Yeah, especially since the circuit is so short with only 4.318 kilometers, less than 3 miles around here. And you have 17 cars over this short span. It's pretty much a recipe that certainly makes for close racing, and the more we have close racing, obviously, the higher the likelihood for a safety car as well. So it wouldn't surprise me either if we see at least one of those, or maybe 1 or 2 virtual safety cars.
Yeah, most definitely. It'll be interesting to see how this man does. Last week's race winner, Sam Ubin, starting from the back of the grid on those soft tyres, so expect him to be lightning as he tries to work his way through the field in the first few laps. How high up the grid can he get? What can Thyman do to try and stop Kiski? He needs to finish well ahead of him if he wants to take the championship to the next round to Interlagos in Brazil. I'm sure Kiski will just be hoping that he doesn't have any issues like last week. Had to pit to replace his front wing after an incident with Pasti last time around. Thankfully for him, he's 4 places ahead this time, but once the pit stops and getting stuck in traffic, and DRS trains can play a big part around this circuit, so it might be very hard for these front guys to try and escape from the midfield. Hold on to your hats, people. This is going to be a fascinating race as we now wait for the grid to line up. Mercedes looking good to clinch the Constructors' Championship with both their cars in the top 5. Kiski looking good to clinch the Drivers' Championship in about 45 minutes time. Let's see what is going to happen then. Lights ready to come on. We've got the green flags from the marshals. We're all ready to get racing here at the Red Bull Ring. We've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are racing here at Austria. It's a good start from Aero. Jordan Polska already having to cover off from Kieski. Loney getting a good start, trying to go around the outside of Thyman, but they're staying in the same position for now. But it's Kieski in third. Got Jordan Polska second. Aero first. Thyman still battling with Loney on the run down towards turn 3. And you've got the Red Bull of Hercules trying to make his way down the inside. Hercules is going for this. He's really going for it. He's managed to get past the pair of them. Fantastic move on the brakes from Hercules. That's not helped Thyman because he's now been bumped behind Loney. He's trying to get back past the Mercedes, but he's going to have a go into turn 4, down the inside. You can hold it off around the outside of that part of the circuit, and Loney is doing so. That's going to enable him to just hang in there for the next part of this circuit, but he's backed off in the end. Perfect starts from the leaders. Hercules very brave on the brakes there. Diamond and Loney both losing out.
Yeah, meanwhile, the top 3 have not changed at all, so Hercules really the first one to make up some positions early on, and obviously for Thyman, really bad situation right now in the championship fight, losing positions this early. It's only one, but he needs every position he can get, and he didn't get any. In fact, he lost one. But it seems like everyone made it through the first lap without any sort of damage, so that is certainly good to see. But yeah, we have some drivers who are really obviously already struggling a bit on tire wear because they are starting on the used soft tires, so they are already at a disadvantage here of about 10% tire wear. That is certainly a wild one.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Yeah, but so far everything's still going fine. We have still no damage on any of the cars, so that's certainly encouraging. Meanwhile, it seems like it's calmed down a little bit now. We are a lap and a half into the race, almost 2 laps. That's how quickly this goes around here. Lap time just over minute 6, minute 7 really in the race, at least this early on. Let's see, Aero the first one to come across the line, and yeah, 1 minute and 7.
Yeah,
there we go.
Setting the fastest lap that time around. We were 107.2. Those on the fresh soft tyres really gained on the first lap. Slimbo went up originally 4 places, but he's now been passed by Sam, so he's only gone up 3 places. Sam Ubin has moved up 4 places, so those fresh soft tyres proving to be very good in the first few stages. Now that DRS has been enabled, this is where it gets a bit more difficult for Aero out in front. As you can see, the racing point behind of Jordan Polska not choosing to go for a move this time around, and I'm sure Kieski will quite happily just sit in the slipstream of these guys, maybe save a bit of ARS, maybe save a bit of fuel to use it to attack later on in the race. Likewise with Hercules. Diamond though, he needs to start thinking about just going for it now to try and work his way up the field.
Easier said than done, though. Looking at the situation right now and at the gap that Thyman has to Hercules up front, it's growing. It's really tricky, this situation right now, because Thyman, he has the same tools at his disposal as Hercules does. They both get the slipstream from the guy in front. As Kieski makes a mistake into turn 1, Hercules says, thank you very much, I'll take that position. And now Thyman might actually be on to something here as well. He is too far away though, but tries to get close into the braking zone, and he is back onto the rest of this pack, at least back onto Kieski, his championship rival.
Yeah, that could make things very interesting indeed. We've seen Fairhand come into the pits. He has now put the hard tyres on, so I don't know whether anything had happened to him, because that seemed like a very early pit stop from the medium tyres, but he'll be trying to get to the end. So now we've got the 2 championship rivals running nose to tail in 4th and 5th, both losing out of position. Hercules, can he get a podium here? He's been fantastic. That was all caused by Kieski just making a slight mistake. Thankfully for him, he was able to get out back on track ahead of Thyman, but he's dropped back from those ahead, so maybe not finding this the most enjoyable circuit. DRS could be crucial to keep him in touch, as Jordan Polska now sets the fastest lap of the race. He did actually take the lead on that lap from Aero, who's now into 2nd place, so could we see the Racing Point driver take his 2nd win in 3 races? You can see how close it is down the field, all the way down to Pasty. Everyone there is in DRS of the cars in front. Here's the last man in this train. It is Suso in 8th place at the moment in the Williams, opening the DRS just a bit too far back from Johan. You've got Sam Yavin using the DRS of Dynastics, but they're all just sort of getting stuck behind the car in front. It's only really when you see a mistake, as what happened with Kieski, that you get a great chance to overtake, unless you try something brave into this middle sector.
Yeah, really not a good overtaking opportunity here in the middle sector at all. Turns 1, 3, and 4. Obviously, your best choices at every single one of these works, depending on if you're confident enough that you can keep the position on the ensuing DRS straights. If you want to try it into turn 1, be prepared to defend the next 2 straights around.
Yeah, it was actually Sam Yavin. He's not messing around at all. He's managed to get past Dynastics in between 9 and 10, and that has allowed the Red Bull to get a great exit. He's not got DRS though in the Red Bull, and Dynastics will have to say in that 13th position for now as we go back up to the front of the field. Johan right behind Loney, and he's going for it into turn 3. Toro Rosso down the inside, just not able to get the car turned around quickly enough to make that a viable move. The Sam and Slimbo swapping around, with Toro Rosso getting back ahead of Slimbo for 10th position, and now the Alpha's got the McLaren of Sam Yabin all over the back of him. I said he'd gain some places in this early stages. That makes it 6 positions gained from his starting slot, and only 1 more to get into the points. He is going to be mighty fast. He's going to find it a bit more difficult now that he's challenging more drivers that are on the soft tyres, but all those ahead of him, of course, are on older tyres that they used in qualifying.
Yeah, and it all started really with Slimbo getting turn 3 massively wrong, going way too deep into the corner. Sam just chucked it up the inside, said thank you very much, and then Slimbo was effectively just a sitting duck, as now Sam gets the final corner wrong, and Sammy Bean says thank you very much again, making 2 positions here, 2 laps, getting a little bit of a bump there from the rear, and that is Sam into the wall, back on track, and that is a collision, I think, with Dynastics. Sam now really slow, trying to get back up to speed. I think he also lost part of his front wing, and yeah, he does. Right side end plate is gone from the Toro Rosso. That is only light damage, though. He can still go on a little bit longer. But, yeah, that front wing definitely has to be changed at the next pit stop.
Yeah, it might not be too long before he's coming in, because he looked like he's really worn his tyres out there with that wheel spinning action around the exit of the corner. I'm just trying to see if he's actually got a puncture or anything, because he really seems to be struggling on corner exit. But no, it's just the tyres wearing out. Up ahead, though. Jordan Polska still all out. Now he's actually behind Aero once again, so those two swapping around. We saw Suso get ahead of Loney. Loney now dropping down to 8th place, so he's really not enjoying the opening stages of this race in the Mercedes. That is now 3 places lost for Loney. Sam Yabini, he'll be trying to close up to the back of Pasti now, and there we go, we're seeing Sam in the pit lane, so I imagine he'll be putting on the hard tyres, trying to get to the end of this race. But around most circuits, for hards, not really an optimal race tyre that anyone likes going on if they can avoid it.
Yeah, but around here, it's not that much of an issue. The mediums and the hards very similar. They don't give you, the hards don't give you that much additional lifetime, but at the same time, they're also not that much slower. So mediums and hards really close to each other, and around a track that only has 10 corners, and most of these don't require an awful lot of grip. If you look at turn 3, turn 4, you know, the kind of hairpin, those are not really fast corners, so they don't really require you to have a lot of grip. So the time loss between mediums and hards is not that big around here, and it is a viable option, at least right now, because the mediums from this point won't make it to the end, but the hards probably will.
Yeah, the hards should make it to the end. You're going to have to go another few laps, around lap 12, lap 13, if you want to get those mediums to have any hope of making it towards the end of the race. As Suso goes round the outside of Johan at turn 3. Bit of wheel banging on the exit of the corner. Can Lonely take advantage of that? They're still going to be side by side. This time it's for Toro Rosso. That has the DRS, and he should be able to take that position back into 4th, into 6th place, into turn 4. He just locks up slightly on the exit, and Suso not able to take advantage. Will he be able to get on the inside for turn 6? No, Johan has that covered off. So here we are now on to lap 9 of this race. The front 5 cars getting away because of this battle behind them, as Suso just gets a bit wild on the exit, and Loney not close enough to take advantage. Pasty close enough to these guys, as we're seeing the top two drivers in the pits.
Yep. We have two drivers in the pits, Aero and Jordan Polska, both pulling in. And I would say, at least for Aero, this makes... Oh no, for both of them it makes sense. Their tyres more than 50% worn out, so they have hit that first cliff. Remember, the cars have, or the tyres have two sort of cliffs built in where they suddenly start falling off the pace. One at around 50%, the other, the next one that's really deadly, at around 65%. So they were past the first one just about, and they both decided, you know what, that's enough, we're coming in. And I would expect more drivers to come in at the end of this lap as well. Hercules, Kieski, Thyman, Suso. I would assume most of these, we have a yellow flag sector 3, that is for Sam retiring in the pit lane. Should not be too much of an issue, hopefully. But yeah, I expect that most of the top 8 coming now. Hercules already making his intentions clear. Same with Kieski and Thyman. They're all coming in. Suso looks like he's staying out. Yes, he is. Yoan in. Loney's staying out as well. So is Pasty and Sammy Bean. So we have another 4 runners still on the softs, staying out for at least one more lap.
Yeah, interested to see how these different strategies are going, as Aero there may have had a DRS failure because he wasn't using it on this lap, and that allowed Jordan Polska to get ahead of him. As we can see again, I don't think, Aero's DRS has been shut all the way down that straight. We'll have a look here.
It's open.
It's open now, so yeah, but if he did have a DRS problem, it was fixed. I wonder if it was just when someone mentioned coming out of the detection point. As you see Jordan Polska, he's managed to get past Jon Polainen, and the Williams trying to follow through. They need to make their way through this traffic. Hercules, Kieski and Thyman came out of the pits in the same order. In fact, we've now got Kieski all over the back of Hercules. The Red Bull won't have DRS this time around, so it might be the best opportunity for Kieski to go down the inside, but decides not to go for it this time around, as Jordan Polska really siving his way through the field now, getting past his teammate for tonight, Giggs. He just needs to try and escape from these guys, because it's not going to be easy for Aero to overtake at this point of the track, even though he does have much fresher tyres. You can see he's got a better exit, as the top 3 drivers have now come into pits. It's only Samyabin, who started on those soft tyres, who has yet to pit, and that is not that surprising given the fact that he was on fresh tyres after being outside the top 10 in qualifying. Yeah,
that certainly helps. If you start on fresh softs, you can obviously go longer into your first stint, and that's exactly what Samyabin is showing us right here as he continues on. And I would say he can probably go on another lap after this one if he so chooses. Meanwhile, let's look behind Jordan Polska, trying to put Marco Krisman under pressure to get that position as well. Krisman defends to the inside. I'm not so sure why he does that. Now on the cutback, here comes Jordan Polska. Krisman cannot shut that one off, and Jordan Polska is through and up to P3, as Marco Krisman now struggling to hold the position at least against Aero for some time. I'm not really sure why he's fighting this. I would just let them by as Krisman now pulls out of the way. I think that's the smarter move right there, because you don't want to be held up by these guys who are on obviously different strategies to you.
Yeah, modern Formula 1, a lot of it is about driving your own race, although we love to see drivers defending tooth and nail for every position. It's not necessarily the fastest way around, so that puts Dynastics, he's in the lead of this race now. Jordan Polska up to second with a net lead because he has pitted. Aero in third, Hercules moving up, Kieski, Thyman as well. Samyabin on those medium tyres coming out just behind Slimbo. He was ahead of him, but obviously pitted later on, and Samyabin's tyres will be in better condition towards the end of the race. So we saw him very rapidly make his way up through the field earlier. Hopefully he'll be able to do the same from his point of view at least. But Dynastics in the lead, 2.6 seconds ahead of Jordan Polska. Aero within a second, and Hercules won't be too long before he's on the back of these as well. Just need to get through Giggs and Marco Friesman. Kieski still behind Thyman there in 8th position, Jon Polainen 9th, and Suso 10th, and in the final points paying position at the moment.
Yeah, meanwhile I dropped out of the session again, so my apologies Oh, Luke, you're going to have to continue a little bit. I'm sorry.
No worries, we can see on board then with Aero. Open the DRS just to get a bit of an idea of the difference in straight line speed here when they get towards underneath this Pirelli bridge. 188 for Jordan Polska, 196 mile an hour for Aero, so that's 8 miles an hour, nearly 13 kilometers an hour speed difference. You see him really closing up as Hercules has managed to get past Giggs. Kiski is going to try and follow through as well. The racing point is on the inside line. I don't think Diamond's going to be close enough to have a go though into the braking zone. No, he has to hang back. It's now Hercules and Marco Kriesman going side by side. The Ferrari still defending for all he is worth, but the Red Bull's going to have the inside line for turn 6, and that extra grip from those fresh tyres good enough to get the Red Bull now into 4th position, so he has no one in between him and the Williams and the racing point just ahead. Marco Kriesman again pulling to the right hand side, and you can just see what that undercut did for the 2nd and 3rd place man at the moment. Allowed them to get ahead of Hercules in the Red Bull, who was in the next 3rd place. Apparently, according to Danny Moreno, Aero and Jordan Polska had amazing pace in practice, so it shouldn't be too surprising to see them 1st and 2nd. Nets 1st and 2nd, obviously, with Dynastics being in the lead, but I don't think he's going to be there for too much longer as he goes a bit deep into turn 3. They're really catching these guys up as now Kiski makes his way past Marco Kriesman and Thyman able to just about follow through.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe Thyman was going to be able, as Marco Kriesman is trying to challenge him into turn 4, they touch. I'm not sure why Marco Kriesman tries to battle with the guy who's obviously on a much different strategy to his, but now he has to yield, tries to cut back into turn 6, but does not have the grip to fight this battle and has to yield to Thyman. That really, I'm pretty sure, is not very well received by Thyman, who is still in a championship battle with Kiski, and right now he's in a net 5th place behind the guy he is fighting in the championship.
Yeah, Dynastic still hanging on for the rest of this lap. He's done a great job as Jordan Polska just runs a bit wide over the curb, causing a bit of wheel spin out of that corner, but he should still have enough pace to do Dynastics down the inside here into turn 3 as we're on board with Aero. Jordan Polska goes through, Aero trying to follow, wheels nearly getting locked together, but the Williams, that supreme acceleration due to the extra tyre life is enough to get him now into that 2nd position, although Dynastics trying to hold off all the way around the outside. That would have been fantastic if he could do that on those older tyres, but not able to do so. And just getting stuck behind means Hercules has closed the gap slightly. He's now just 2 seconds behind Jordan Polska, so we could soon have that 5-car train for the lead of the race getting joined back up again. Further down the field, I wonder if something's happened with Johan, because he's dropped back a bit from Loney and Suso, and in fact Samyabin has managed to get ahead of him. He's managed to get ahead of Pasti, and he's got ahead of Slimbo as well. So last week's race winner could still get some very decent points here.
Yeah, definitely. This is certainly an opportunity for him. And right now, right now, P12, it's not the greatest position in, or that he can be in, but he has 4 cars in front that are all going to pit while he doesn't anymore. So that will move him up to P8 with Giggs, Jumperline, Marco Kriesman and Dynastics all still having to make the pit stops. So that would promote him up to P8, and then maybe some positions on track. We know he has the pace. He just wasn't allowed, really. Well, he was allowed, technically, but he just didn't join in time. The game denied him to show it in qualifying. But, yeah, Sammy Bean certainly one to look out for the rest of this race. Not for the win, but certainly for some more positions picked up.
Yeah, definitely. He is closing up to Suso and Loney just ahead, so that could be an interesting battle to watch in the latter stages of this race. We've got Kiski right behind Hercules, who is right behind his teammate Dynastics. I think Dynastics, compared to some of these other drivers on the older medium tyres, Dynastics do an incredible job of trying to hang on at the moment, but nothing doing there. Not able to use the grip that's left on those tyres because they are looking very past their best at the moment. His teammate has gone through. Kiski gets past as well, although Dynastics is still on the inside. Is he going to be able to have him go back at the Mercedes into turn 4? Not this time around. Kiski runs deep slightly, and Thyman, he may just have to follow him a bit through this middle part of the circuit, and that is not what you want to do. Not really a good chance to overtake at this part of the circuit up until turn 1. Probably more likely turn 3 now, because the braking's over turn 1 really not long enough, although he's got a much better exit than Dynastics there. Is he going to be able to go down the inside for turn 9? No, you really need to be alongside there, so this could hold Thyman up slightly and just give Kiski that bit of breathing room that he needs. There you can see there on the exit of the corner, Thyman has got that grip. As we see Jon Palainen, he's headed into the pits. Is Thyman able to do it down the inside into turn 1? That was late on the brakes. He was determined, just a bit too late maybe. As you can see, Dynastics still fighting back with him. He's not really losing any time here, but it's definitely cost Thyman big chunks of time. He's now more than a second behind Kiski. This time the Haas goes down the inside as Dynastics has to go over the curb, and that is that battle done and dusted for now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, again, Thyman probably isn't very happy with this. He's probably asking the question right now, why is this guy who's on a different strategy to me fighting with me? He doesn't gain anything from that. I lost a lot of time. Why is this happening? But at the end of the day, Dynastics is allowed to do it. That was a battle on track at least for position, even though on strategy it really wasn't for position. Dynastics is still allowed and entitled to fight back, and he chose to do so. Thyman now over a second off of Kiski, so he's not getting any closer, at least right now. He has to claw himself back into 1 second of the Mercedes ahead, otherwise this is looking very dire for him, and it might be that Kiski walks home with the title here tonight.
Yeah, reminder, Kiski, if he finishes in the top 4, that will be good enough for him. Thyman needs a podium to have any hope, really. So Kiski doing enough at the moment to keep that championship lead and to seal it up before the next race in Brazil. We saw Jordan Polski, he's all over the back of Aero, and being outside that 1 second is going to make it really hard for Thyman to catch up, because obviously Kiski is getting the DRS off of Hercules, and we mentioned in qualifying how big of a help that is. Sam Yabin has managed to get ahead of Loney, so he is now up into the points. Suso getting ahead of Giggs. So this second group of cars who have already made their 1 compulsory pit stop are beginning to catch those who started on the medium tyres, and just look at the difference in acceleration Sam Yabin had there. There was nothing Giggs could do about that on the exit of 7 and 8. Just there's no traction in that racing point. He's going to find himself getting swamped by the others behind him sooner rather than later. He's down to 10th place. Loney and Johan won't be too far behind either. On lap 21 already of this race out of 36, just over halfway, and Aero is now a quarter of a second ahead of Jordan Polska, who again just staying in the DRS for now, not really using any ERS, so he's only on about 30% at the moment. Aero only a few percent better off, but Jordan Polska happy to just hang back for now.
Yeah, meanwhile, we are at getting towards the end of lap 21. Expect some of the medium runners who haven't pitted yet, meaning Dynastics, Marco Krisman and Giggs, to come into the pits rather shortly. Maybe at the end of this lap, we'll have to wait and see. I think, no, Dynastics, I thought for a second he might move over there to go into the pit lane, but he is not. Marco Krisman also stays out. Same with Giggs. No, Giggs comes in. There you go. So 1 out of 3, at least I called that right.
That's better than most of my predictions.
Fair enough. No, you had some good ones as well. But Giggs now coming in to put on the soft tyres for the final 15 laps of the race. No front wing change, no penalty to be served. Fantastic pit stop right there from the Racing Point crew. He comes back out in P15. Farhan coming through the final corner right now. He is a little bit too far away to make a move on Giggs, so Giggs out in P15. Expect, again, Dynastics, Marco Kriesman, either this lap or the next lap, I would say both of them. Maybe not on the same lap, maybe they will come on the same lap, I don't know, but definitely both of them the next 2 laps.
Yeah, shouldn't be for long before we see those guys pit, and as one racing point was in the pit lane, the other took the lead of this race. Jordan Polska on lap 22, getting ahead of Aero, trying to pull away now to try and claim his second victory in the last 3 races. Kiski still in the DRS zone of Hercules, who doesn't have DRS himself, but Kiski not able to get close enough where it really matters to go for an overtake. Although this might be a bit more promising. As I say that, he goes to the left hand side, he's got way more ERS, gets it done before the corner. That is how you do it around this Austrian circuit. Nothing Hercules could do about that. Didn't have the tools to fight back. And Kiski is up into 3rd place. He's in the podium places. As we now see further back, Sam Yabin and Marco Kriesman are battling. Marco Kriesman running well wide there. Sam Yabin definitely determined to get past. Neither of them getting DRS, and Suso, if this gets a bit nasty, he could be there to take advantage as the Williams tries to go round the outside of the Ferrari, and he's going to have that place done. Marco Kriesman really not got any grip in those tyres. It won't be long, as you said, though Suso runs a bit wide there at turn 6, and I thought there might be a bit of contact, but Marco Kriesman just missing the rear of that Williams. So that is Sam Yabin and Suso up into 7th and 8th. But most importantly for the championship, Kiski, he's now got another car in between himself and Thyman, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, meanwhile, Marco Kriesman trying to get into the pit lane, almost messes up the pit entry. And that was certainly a moment, 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. So he will not serve that penalty at this pit stop, and since he doesn't have any more pit stops, he will get that 5 seconds added to the end of the race. So that is a 5-second penalty that we have to keep in mind for the Ferrari driver here, as he drops behind Giggs, just behind Giggs. And yeah, that's just adding insult to injury at this point. I would say Dynastics probably coming into the pits at the end of this lap. But yeah, looking at Thyman right now, I think this is really looking bad for him. As we also see the skies getting a little bit darker. Certainly not any rain to see on the horizon yet, but the conditions have changed from the start of the race. It's not as clear anymore. The track is getting darker and darker. We might see some rain come down towards the end of the race. Meanwhile, Aero breezes past Jordan Polska back into the lead, then misses the apex of turn 3 a little bit, and maybe Jordan Polska comes back at his VRT teammate in the Williams. Nope, he's not trying. He's staying on no ERS deployment and therefore not even attempting an overtake. But we are back with a 4-way battle for the lead.
You, Austin. Sam Yabin is in the barrier. Don't think he's got any damage. He was battling with Dynastics, was obviously still yet to make a pit stop, but he was doing so well in the McLaren, recovered from starting at the back of the grid, got himself well into the points. He is now down in 12th position. He's going to have a big job to try and get back into the points now with only 12 laps to go. But those top 4 cars, now that Kiski's got ahead of Hercules, he seems to have dragged the pair of them up onto the back of this lead battle.
Yeah, it certainly seems so. And the one who's missing out on all this action up front is Thyman in 5th place. He is the one who is off of this group by pretty much 2 seconds. And that is really tough to overcome. Maybe Aero and John Polska are able to, break this group in a little bit, make him go a little bit slower to allow Thyman to catch back up, although I very much doubt that that is a consideration for any of them. Maybe John Polska, but he's in 2nd. Remember, John Polska is a reserve driver, so he doesn't really have anything to gain from driving for Racing Point and making sure Racing Point is doing well. But obviously he has to gain for himself. So again, I think it's probably not that likely that we see any sort of games like that. And it's at this point, it's looking very bad. There is rain now hitting the track. The first raindrops are coming down the Austrian sky.
Maybe this is why Dynastics is going so long on those medium tyres. He's trying to hang on until the point it maybe gets to intermediate. So it is raining, and as it gets ever so colder, these tyres might start losing a bit of grip as Jordan Polska heads down the inside of Aero into turn 3. And that is another position swap between the two of them. And it will be interesting to see if it does get wet enough for intermediate tyres. But rain all of a sudden coming down. The last few laps, definitely the skies are getting more and more overcast. And I've commentated on a few races recently where the track has been borderline between dries and intermediate. If it stays just about dry enough for the slick tyres, it could be very dicey in the final few laps because these tyres will be well past their best. But it's Jordan Polska back into the lead, and I think that's pretty much just what you need, isn't it, to spice things up a bit in what could be a championship decider. A bit of rain in the final few laps.
Yeah, really at the perfect time, because now it makes drivers think, do I go into the pits? Do I stay out and try to, stick it out on those dry tyres, trying to bring him home? How much does a pit stop lose me? How much time does it lose me going into the pit, switching onto the inters? How much does it gain me? All these questions are now being asked by every single driver in their head. They're thinking about when does the rain, when do the intermediate tyres become the better tyre? And all these questions are now rumbling inside their heads, and one mistake, one wrong decision, staying out a lap too long, coming in a lap too early, all of this can make or break a race right now.
Yeah, we've just seen Jordan Polska go very deep into turn 4, but Kiski had to actually drop back a bit. Pasty's getting ahead of Dynastics, who must really be struggling on 27 lap old medium tyres. It's not going to be long, I think, before they cry it off and explode as Pasty's actually gone deep into turn 4, so you can see how wet it's getting. Dynastics, even with those old tyres, is able to take advantage and make his way up into 9th position. I think if anyone is going to be the first man to take a risk on those intermediate tyres, it will be the Red Bull. As we see, the three of the front drivers have come into the pits. Simon as well. The only one to stay out is Kiski.
Wow. And Aero gets a 5-second penalty for being in the pit lane. And yeah, Dynastics should come in now. At this point, his tyres are down to 76% tyre wear. That is past both cliffs, and that is high-risk puncture territory, as DRS is now disabled. So that means everyone who's in the pits who's coming out now, Aero, Jordan Polska, Hercules, Simon, they've all made the right call. And guess who made the wrong call? That's right. Championship leader Kiski, staying out on those mediums, made the wrong call as he is sliding through turn 4, trying to nurse this car back to the pit lane. He will lose positions and lose a lot of them.
I don't get, if you're leading the championship and all you need to do is finish anywhere close to your main rival, why don't you just follow everyone else into the pits and do the same as them? He wasn't going to lose out. He was in a situation where he really didn't have a lot to gain. He's going to find it a big struggle. He's made it back to the pits, but Aero, Jordan Polska, Hercules, Thyman will be well ahead, and you can see how much he's having to tiptoe around.
Marco Krisman, meanwhile, in the grass, and Giggs in the gravel trap, both on the softs. They've also not elected to come in, as Kiski now made it into the pits. But yeah, you can see Marco Krisman and Giggs just struggling out there, as Pasty and Dynastics now close up to them, at least to Marco Krisman, and they're not finding a way past right now. They should be able to overtake quite handily and easily, but it's pretty hard here. And I don't think they know that Marco Krisman is on softs. They're trying to overtake and forget that Marco Krisman, he's sticking it out. Marco Krisman is actually sticking it out, trying to bring this home to the end. I'm not sure that is the right call, but I mean, you do you. Kiski, meanwhile, rejoins the track in P5, 3.5 seconds behind Thyman, which would still be good enough to win the championship. But if Thyman gains some more positions, this might get very interesting.
Yeah, now the thing is, we know the fastest lap is now pretty much sorted, and that is going to go to Marco Krisman, who is dropping well down the field. So no one is beating that So I think Kiski, 5th place will be good enough for him. 5th will be perfectly fine. Thyman would only be able to get within 26 points, as Kiski really still pushing hard, and obviously Kiski would take it on countback with his 3 victories. Thyman still yet to get one, so you really could do with Kiski dropping down a bit, which could happen if he makes a mistake, because the rain does look to be getting a bit heavier, but it should be intermediates to the end. Aero trying to get away from these guys now, but he does have that 5-second penalty. Jordan Polska in second. Hercules, he dropped a bit back in that pit stop period. He's now 4 seconds off the lead, and Thyman up to 4th position. So he could still get another podium if he gains a bit of time on Aero, with Aero having that penalty, but it's not going to be good enough to keep the championship alive for now.
Well, I'm telling you what right now, Hercules has 3 seconds time penalties. So he would drop back behind Thyman on penalties. Thyman has none. So I think that needs to be said just to make sure. Thyman has none. Hercules has 3 seconds. So right now Thyman would get a podium. Aero has still that 5-second penalty. So that might drop him behind Thyman. Jordan Polska really is the only one in here who would still, after penalties, finish ahead of Thyman, because just like Thyman, Jordan Polska has no penalties either. But that doesn't have to remain that way. He might make a mistake, he might get penalties, you know, crazier things have happened, and Thyman isn't out of this yet with the 5-second penalty from Aero and 3 seconds for Hercules. It's still a possibility, never say never. And Kiski, let me check, also has no penalties right now, so he wouldn't drop down the order either. He has 2 warnings, but even that, he's sitting on 10 seconds of a gap to the guy behind in Johan, so that is definitely a very comfortable lead.
Yeah, I think
over the next car.
Yeah, I think Kiski now, his job's just to bring it home and secure that championship. One person who is really struggling and is really out of it, Giggs, still on the soft tyres. Marco Krisman's nearly caught him back up again, and you can just see he's got no grip in that racing point. It's definitely well past useful conditions and useful life for those soft tyres, so he's going to find himself finishing last in this race. Some battles further down the field. We've got Samuel Bean trying to catch up to Loney for the final point. And of course, with the positions as they are at the moment, the Constructors' Championship battle would actually go on to the next round, because Mercedes needed to outscore Haas tonight. And with Thyman in 4th, Kiski 5th and Loney 10th, despite Thyman being the sole... Well, actually, yeah, Samuel Bean does count as a Haas, despite the game showing him as a McLaren, because you can't pick your car after the qualifying session. The Constructors' Championship, at least, would still be going on to Brazil.
Yeah, so we at least have that to look forward to if the race finishes like that. However, again, it might be that Thyman actually gets some more points, which would only make the Constructors' fight more interesting, with Hercules and Aero with some lingering penalties.
Yeah, at the moment it looks as though Aero should be safe for finishing ahead of Thyman. So at the order at the moment, at the cross the line after penalties applied, the podium's probably going to be a VLT washout, really, with Polska in the win, Aero second and Thyman third. Kiski picking up a penalty, so he is still pushing hard, but as you said, Austin, Johan behind has a penalty as well, and there's an 11-second gap, so all he's got to do is keep it on the racetrack for another 3 laps, and he will be the F2 champion this season. Can we see Aero become another winner out on circuits? He's going to need a bit of a miracle, I think, to happen now with this stage of the race, as we've got a Mercedes off, and that is Loney in the gravel trap coming through 7 and 8. Not been the best of races for Loney. He's got some damage to his front wing as well, and you really need all the downforce possible in these wet conditions. He now drops to 13th, and he's heading towards the pit lane. No, oh my god. I don't understand why he does that. With 2 laps left, why do you head to the pit lane? I do not understand this. That you lose some... Okay, he has left the session, so he effectively just retired. Because I don't understand it otherwise. You have nothing
to gain from a pit stop this late. You lose more time from the pit stop than you would have lost on track with that slightly damaged front wing. We're talking end plate only. You don't lose that much time from that. Even in those conditions, you probably lose about, I would say, probably a second per lap. You don't lose enough to warrant going into the pits 2 laps before the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. So it wouldn't be really worth him pitting for the front wing change, but in the end he has left the session. He's not actually retired from the race, but his results will not count as he's not in the session. So Diamond trying to close up to Hercules. Jordan Polska still all over the back of Aero on the penultimate lap, getting right underneath the rear wing of the Williams. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside. He wants to win this out on track. Never mind the fact that Aero has a penalty. I wonder if Jordan Polska's actually aware and asked Jeff whether the Williams has any penalties. But in the end, he's trying to take the victory out on circuit, and he has taken the lead here with 1 and a bit laps to go. Jordan Polska in the lead of this race. Could he get his second win in 3 races? Just imagine what this guy might have been able to do. A, if he was a full-time driver, and B, if he'd been here since the start of the season.
Yeah, I think Jordan Polska, if he has that similar kind of pace, as he makes a mistake in the final corner, and Aero trying to come back at him, has the inside for turn 1. Is he going to send it? He is alongside, and they're still side by side. Do they leave each other space? They do touch. They touch again, and it seems like Aero has a slightly better run there towards turn 3. Up the hill he goes. And John Polska later on the brakes. He has to go the long way. Loney has rejoined, so maybe his results will count after all. I mean, it's a P14 right now, so wouldn't be a point anyway. But here comes Jordan Polska, sends one to the inside. They touch again. No damage to stay down the car. They touch, and Jordan is off. Jordan is off into the wall. Resets the car, but that is down to P3 and now P4, and that's pretty much what I was talking about. Now Hercules has a penalty, 3 seconds, and Thyman is within 3 seconds of him, and Thyman is also within 5 seconds of Aero. Thyman can win this race.
Thyman's going to win it, and I think Kieski might just about finish in 4th position here, maybe even 3rd if he gets ahead of Jordan Polska. Aero's going to be first man across the line, and I feel like there is going to be some talking in the VRT team about that. Brett is not going to be a happy chappy. Aero first man across the line. Hercules there in 2nd, but it's Thyman who takes the victory. Aero ends up finishing in 2nd. Jordan Polska 3rd. Hercules 4th. Kieski in 5th. But that is enough to give him the championship. Kieski is the champion here. Season 19 AOR F2.
Yeah, we might still get a tie between Thyman and Kieski on points alone if Kieski doesn't show up or doesn't finish the race, doesn't get any points, and Thyman wins the race with the fastest lap. But on countback, Kieski, with his 3 wins this season, will take the championship already, and will take it 1 race early here in Austria.
Yeah, he's been shown fantastic consistency. That one of 3 wins in a row and a few other podiums really helped him. No one's been able to match that consistency. Thyman's come close in the last few races. That's his 4th straight podium and a 1st win. And towards the end of that race, it looked as though the only way he was going to take a win here was if there was a collision between those drivers in front of him. Fortunately for him, unfortunately for Aero and Jordan Polska, that is exactly what happened. Giggs managed to finish the race a lap down on those soft tyres. The rest of the order outside the points have got, well, for the lower points positions, as we see Loney just pirouetting across the finish line there with a lot more of his front wing. Now he's deciding to do some celebratory donuts on behalf of his teammate, which is fair enough. But in the end, the winner there here, that is a 7th different winner, I believe, in 7 races.
Yep.
It is Thyman in the Haas, and that is really going to close things up in the Constructors' Championship as well. He might have lost the Drivers' Championship, but the Constructors really wide open now compared to how it was earlier. That gap is down to just 23 points with a possible 44 remaining next time around. With the form he is in and the form Sam Yabin showed last week, you never know what could happen in Brazil. It's been home of many dramatic title battles before. As we look now for the results, you can see there it's a Dutch 1-2-3. Diamond taking it on the last lap after the collision between Aero and Jordan Polska. I imagine there'll be a few words said between the two of them. Hercules manages to finish 4th. Kieski's 5th place, enough to give him the championship. Johan coming home in 6th. Suso 7th. Pasti 8th. Jon Palainen, he's there again in the points with 9th. Dynastics, one-stop strategy, enough to get him a point. Sam Yubin just missing out in 11th. Slimbo is 12th. Thurhan, he wasn't able to work his way up in 13th. Marco Kriesman staying out on the softs, didn't work for him in 14th. Loney, we saw him have that incident late on and 3 pit stops. 15th, dropping 10 places from his starting position. Not a great race from him. Giggs somehow staying on track on those soft tyres in 16th. And Sam was the only retirement. It's fair to say that was a pretty dramatic ending to that race.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I told you 2 things. I said in qualifying, I think we are going to see a 7th winner in the 7th race. And we did with Thyman. And second of all, even, 6-7 laps before the end of the race, I said Thyman can still win this. To be fair, I didn't fully believe this. I said it more, to make the race a little bit more dramatic, but in the end I was right somehow. And I don't even understand how. But what a race that was there towards the end, especially, and Thyman making it the 7th win by the 7th different driver in the 7th race in a row. Just absolutely remarkable. He is not going to be able to win the championship this time around. But what a run he has had in the last 4 races. 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, and now his first win in AOR.
Yeah, he'll be absolutely delighted with that and hoping he can carry that form onto the next game. But what Kieski, obviously 5th place, he ends up winning the championship, and it was that run of 5 consecutive podiums and 6 out of the first 7 races that really did it for him.
Yeah, and huge congratulations to Kieski. It really just that 5 race run from Britain to China. Those 5 races were just they were something else. That was out of this world. And we thought early on, remember, we thought after the first 2 races, we thought, oh, Iamotti seems like the favorite. Then he went absolutely nowhere with a 12th, 8th, and 6th place in a row, while Kieski scored 3 wins. And that really consolidated it. And after China, there really wasn't much of a doubt. It was always more of a mathematical chance for other drivers, for Iamotti, for Thyman, and less so a chance of, yeah, they can actually do that. However, I'm pretty sure Kieski wants at least 1 more point next week at the Brazilian Grand Prix, at the season finale, to make sure that there's no doubt that he won this championship. Because right now, again, the tie on points is still possible.
Yeah, that would be a very dramatic way to end the season as well if we end with a tie on points. I'm sure that's what Thyman will be going for, but Kieski, maybe he'll raise me a bit more freedom next week, knowing that he has mathematically secured a championship and there's nothing Thyman can do. We'll have to see if there is any stewards' inquiries, of course. We didn't see anything that could possibly change the results that directly involved Thyman and Kieski, but there's a lot of action, so never quite know. But provisionally, Kieski is definitely the champion, and Thyman now, that'll be good enough to secure him 2nd place as well. So really coming up in the last few races. Like you said, Iamotti, he got 50 points in the first 2 races. In the races since, he's managed to get 41, so not gone to plan for him. But there's a lot of pretty quick drivers in this F2 tier, and it wouldn't surprise me if we end up with an 8th different winner from 8 races next time around. Yeah,
I think the one name that might come to everyone's mind at this point is the one who scored his best race result of the season today, and his 3rd podium in Via Aero. He could have won this race had he not had that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And I'm pretty sure that he looks at this race and thinks, man, if I don't do that stupid mistake, there's a chance I win this, and he's going to try to rectify that next week in Brazil.
Yeah, and of course, Aero, way back at the first race of the season, showed some fantastic pace. Didn't quite go to plan for him at that first race, but he's had a few podiums. He managed to finish third there. He's had an extra podium as well in America, another one tonight, so he'll definitely be going for it next time out. And I hope you guys are there to join us. The Drivers' Championship might be decided, but there is still all to play for in the Constructors, and the Interlagos circuit always provides good action. If you want some more F1 2019 action, there is of course the Xbox One Tier 1 live right now. They have got 3 minutes 40 left in their qualifying session. Myself and Austin will be back next week for the season finale and the last AOR League race on F1 2019. It will be the Brazilian Grand Prix from Interlagos. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.